Hi everyone, and welcome to Fulton Road, my N-scale layout set in the modern era in the suburbs of eastern Los Angeles County. If you've never been to my YouTube channel before, this is a vlog about my layout, which is loosely based on the BNSF Pasadena subdivision that runs through Pomona, Laverne, and San Dimas. I've got a lot of things I want to cover in this episode. At the end of August, I started a number of projects that I wanted to finish this month. However, it got really hot here in Southern California for about a week. Temperatures at night didn't cool much below 80 degrees, and the daytime highs were near 110. That made it too uncomfortable to be in the garage. Then we had fires burning in the San Gabriel Mountains and above San Bernardino. Smoke and ash drifted our way for a few days, which made the air quality pretty bad. I've got asthma, and these conditions made it difficult for me to be in the garage. In mid-August, I lost access to the layout. My daughter, who had been living with us, moved out. The garage became her staging area for about 2 weeks. I could use my workbench, but I couldn't access the layout to work on it. But after that was over, I started cleaning and addressing things that had been long neglected. In my August 2024 video, and here's the link to that one, I started 3 projects. First, adding headlights to a Kato 1980s Toyota Crown sedan using fiber optic strands from an old nightlight, and that was followed up in a short I published recently to show how I did that, and here's the link to that. And second, I disassembled a Ford crew cab pickup to weather it. Third, I've continued working on the gas station, and I'll show you where I've gotten. The first thing I got to was the placement of the Toyota Crown sedan on the layout. Using a 1/2-inch spade drill bit to drill a hole through the pink foam and plywood sub-roadbed, I was able to pass the car with its fiber optic strands up through the bottom, leaving the battery holder underneath the layout. Before drilling that hole, I cut a small rectangle about the size of the car in the craft foam street. In that small craft foam rectangle, I drilled a hole using probably a number 60 drill. That hole was where the strands would go from the car down through the hole made in the sub-roadbed. To get the strands into that hole, I cut a slit in the foam with my X-Acto knife, and that way I could use that slit to pass the strands to the hole. Here are 2 pictures of the completed Toyota Crown sedan on the layout with the headlights on. I was a bit underwhelmed when I saw it. There's not enough light. I want the headlights to be brighter. To address this, I drilled out larger holes for the headlights, which you can see in this video. The plan is to use more fiber optic strands in each hole and hopefully get more light coming through. That's a future project which I'll update you on. Also, as you can see, I used 2 different car bodies. One is a beater and the other is a stock out-of-the-box model. I think I'll keep the beater in front of the liquor store because it looks right for that scene. It won't have working headlights. Next up is the Ford crew cab pickup, which you see in these pictures and videos. This pickup is the companion to the utility pickup I weathered earlier this year. Here's a link to that video. Feeling confident after disassembling the Kato model, I poked and pried and was able to disassemble this model without breaking anything. No small feat for someone who is often all thumbs. The most fiddly part was getting the plastic glass or clear plastic that forms all of the windows out of the cab. And then I returned to what had vexed me before, the inability to remove the Amtrak logo from the doors. Here's a picture of this pickup with the logo on it. Armed with clean Q-tips dipped in 90% isopropyl alcohol, I scrubbed and scrubbed, and they came off. It took about 10 minutes per door, but I did it. I decided to touch up the cab roof lights with Vallejo Scarlet. Then I gave the model a coat of flat, clear spray. The weathering process I used is different from the techniques I've previously demonstrated. Using microscale micro flat, I diluted 1 drop in 5 drops of water. To that solution, I added pan pastel raw umber tint and painted that on the bottom portions of the pickup body. The underside around the wheel wells and axles was painted with pan pastel raw umber mixed in an identical solution of microflat and water. I used a wash of black and gray craft paint on the outside of the tires and wheels and the bed. I'll probably do a bit more weathering, especially in the bed of the pickup. Let's turn to the gas station. Early in the month, I turned to creating the decals I'd need to finish the outside of the main building. I needed stripes with red and yellow, and I also needed some of the signs on the prototype I was using for inspiration. I also wanted to try to use decals to create an interior. I'd previously downloaded the colors for the stripes from the web after doing a search for Shell gas station signage. What you see in front of you is a shot from Affinity Photo, and I have pulled up a document I created probably last year, but I want to show you how I used this sheet to create this sheet. Let me zoom out. So this is the decal sheet that I ended up using. There are the red and yellow stripes. There are the signs for Food Mart and Service Center. Here are the banners indicating that it's an official smog station. These pictures where the cursor is are the interior pictures from the gas station. And then these three down here are identical. They're like wall shields or wall-mounted posters, not posters, I believe they're metal. If you will look at this document, it is identical to this one. However, there is one important difference. I zoom in here. This is on a white background. And let's look at this document. You should be able to see that this has a checkerboard background, which looks like a slightly gray background. Let me get to the arrow here. I've picked this red stripe. I can move it. Same for the yellow. Everything on here is movable. And what I did is I took a red stripe first, moved it over to a new document. Then I took the yellow stripe, moved it over to a new document. And then I resized these because if you look at this picture, which is from Google Maps, the yellow stripe is much larger than the red stripe. Let's go back here. Yellow larger than red, yellow is on top. Let's switch positions. Red is much smaller. When I made the decals, I guessed that the red was about 1/4 the size of the yellow. Now, yeah, these are too thick to use. I took measurements from the model and sized the width of the stripes so that they would fit, and these are the dimensions I came up with. So you'll see that I put the yellow on the bottom. It doesn't matter because when I cut these out, I could just flip them over. And you can use this transform feature down here at the bottom to get precise measurements. And I used a set of digital calipers I have to measure the strips that I needed. So that's how I got that done. I spent a day sweeping, cleaning, and finding a place for any stray items that had been left in the garage after the move. It seems weird, but I found it very satisfying having a clean garage. That gave me a kick in the pants that I needed to get going on the layout. I turned my attention to cleaning it. This was probably the first real cleaning I'd done in about a year. I always clean the track before I run trains, but everything else doesn't get regularly cleaned unless I'm going to work on it. I removed everything I could, including most buildings, and vacuumed places that I normally can't reach. The buildings were carefully dusted with a very fine brush. Man, were they dusty. All of the little people, vehicles, and other removable things were removed and cleaned. Then I undertook projects that I've put off for a long time. I applied ballast in spots where it was missing. I applied ground foam in areas that I'd previously removed it from. And I made the fencing around a part of the barrack warehouses. Those are the yellow warehouses in front of the team track that had been missing forever. This is what I call boomer diorama fencing, because he first gave a tutorial on how to make this fencing when he was working on Glover Road. I'm not finished with this cleaning and refurbishing project. I also plan to paint, ballast, apply ground foam, and finish the staging plank. That's why there's masking tape on part of the staging plank fascia. I've also moved Webco machinery back from its original position and will make a brick wall to run along the tracks beside the building. The front will be a driveway and parking. So that's it for this video. A month that started out with several projects that looked like they'd never be finished, and the obstacles that got in the way of finishing them, which made everything seem unattainable, turned out okay in the end. Not everything is done, but that's okay too. So before I leave, let's run some trains. After all, the scenery is the stage for our actors, the trains, to perform on. Thanks for stopping by.